Imagine stepping off the plane in Las Vegas ready for the trip of a lifetime. You've survived the flight, your bags are in hand, and now all you want is something simple like a bottle of water. But then comes the shock $6 for water that costs barely $1 at the gas station down the street. And it doesn't stop there. That quick breakfast sandwich, nearly double the price of what you'd pay on the strip. Even a tiny pack of gum feels like a luxury item once you're trapped inside Reid International Airport. It almost feels like a casino game you never agreed to play. The house always wins, except this time the house isn't a slot machine, it's the entire airport. And the crazy part, millions of travelers go through these terminals every year, and most of them don't even question it. They shrug, pay up, and chalk it up to the cost of flying. But here's the thing, those sky-high prices aren't random. They're the result of a system designed to squeeze you for every dollar the moment you land in Sin City. From exclusive contracts that give vendors total control to hidden fees and security costs that quietly stack up, Las Vegas airports have turned necessity into one of the most profitable businesses in town. You thought casinos were the only places draining wallets. The truth is, the game starts the second your plane touches the runway. So buckle up, because in this video, we're exposing exactly why everything at Las Vegas airports is so expensive and who's cashing in every time you take a sip, grab a snack, or pick up a souvenir. Walk through Reid International Airport and you'll quickly notice something. There may be dozens of restaurants, coffee shops, and retail stands, but every single one of them exists under a carefully controlled system. Unlike on the Strip, where businesses fight tooth and nail for customers, the airport works on exclusive contracts. Vendors can't simply rent space, they must win the right to operate through a costly franchise bidding process, and those contracts come with massive upfront fees, plus a percentage of revenue owed back to the airport. That structure creates what experts call a captive monopoly. Once you're past security, you're locked into whatever options the airport provides. If a Starbucks latte costs $6.50 instead of $4.25, you either pay the extra or you go without. If Hudson News charges $40 for a phone charger, you could get for $15 online. You don't really have a choice. You can't leave, shop around, and come back. You're trapped, and that's exactly what the system is designed to exploit. The cost of securing these prime spots inside the airport is staggering, and companies recover it by raising prices. Chains like Shake Shack or Einstein Brothers Bagels pay not only rent, but also fees for security, logistics, and staffing in a high-regulation environment. That burger combo at Shake Shack might run you nearly $20 inside the terminal, compared to about $13 outside on the Strip. The gap isn't just inflation, it's the cost of doing business in an airport monopoly. The airport itself benefits enormously from this setup. In fact, concession revenue is a major pillar of its budget. For many airports, including Las Vegas, food and retail sales bring in hundreds of millions each year, sometimes rivaling landing fees and airline charges. Every $6 bottle of water or $10 sandwich isn't just profit for the vendor, it's money feeding into the airport's operating system and future expansion plans. Even the physical design of the terminals reinforces this model. Walkways and waiting areas are deliberately routed past food courts, convenience shops, and slot machines. It's no accident that your path to the gate takes you past multiple chances to buy bottled water or a snack. The environment is engineered to maximize what experts call passenger dwell time. The longer you sit, wait, and wander, the more likely you are to spend money. So when people complain about outrageous airport prices, they're not wrong, but they're also not seeing the full picture. Those prices aren't accidents. They are the direct result of a closed-loop system, vendors paying huge fees for access airports, recouping money through concessions, and travelers left footing the bill because they have no way out. In Las Vegas, where the Strip markets itself as a playground of choice, the airport flips the script. Here, choice disappears the moment you cross the security gate. What remains is a carefully managed monopoly, one that makes sure the first dollars you lose in Sin City aren't in a casino, but right inside the terminal. If the contracts explain why prices start high, psychology explains why they stay that way. Airports like Harry Reid International rely on a simple truth. Once you've passed through security, you are what experts call a captive audience. You can't just walk across the street for a cheaper sandwich, and you can't leave the terminal to shop around without risking your flight. You're locked into the airport economy, and businesses know it. This is where the invisible convenience fee comes in. It's not a line item on your receipt, it's baked into every purchase you make. That $6.50 Starbucks latte or $5 bottle of water costs what it does not, because it's worth that much, but because you'll pay it. When you're tired from flying, rushing to a gate, or trying to keep kids calm, the last thing you want to do is argue with price tags. Convenience wins, and the airport charges you for it. The math is staggering. Studies show that airport food and beverage items average 25% to 50% higher than their city-side equivalents. In Las Vegas, where a coffee on the Strip might run you $4.25, the same cup inside Harry Reid jumps closer to $6.50. A quick breakfast sandwich that costs $7 downtown can easily cross $11 in the terminal. These aren't luxury upgrades, they're the same items, but priced for desperation. Part of this comes down to human behavior. Travelers are often anxious, rushed, or fatigued, and that makes them more likely to accept higher prices without question. It's the same principle casinos use with drinks and amenities on the Strip. When you're distracted, you spend more freely. Only here, it isn't cocktails at a blackjack table, it's bottled water at gate C23. Airports also exploit time pressure. You know your flight boards in 25 minutes, and you don't want to waste 15 of them hunting for the cheapest option. That sense of urgency makes grabbing the first sandwich you see feel like the only choice. Vendors deliberately place high-margin items, grab-and-go snacks, bottled drinks, travel kits front and center to capture that rushed decision-making. And then there's the psychology of expectations. Travelers have been conditioned to believe that airports are expensive, so they don't fight it. The shock wears off quickly, and people justify it as part of the cost of flying. That acceptance is powerful. It keeps the system profitable, because nobody challenges the norm. But Las Vegas adds a unique twist. Unlike most cities, Vegas markets itself as a place of bargains on the Strip, cheap buffets, 2-for-1 drink deals, comped perks for gamblers. Yet at the airport, the exact opposite is true. You land expecting to save your money for the casinos, only to realize you've already been hit with a different kind of house edge, overpriced basics you can't avoid. It's an ironic reversal that sets the tone for the rest of your stay. Even so, passengers continue to pay. In 2024, Harry Reid International processed over 57 million travelers. If even half of them spent just $10 on food or drinks, that's nearly $300 million in sales, and with inflated margins, the profit potential is enormous. Every rushed purchase, every overpriced snack, every desperate coffee fuels not only the vendor, but the airport's bottom line. So the next time you grab that $8 sandwich or $6 soda before your flight, remember it isn't just food you're buying. You're paying the premium for being trapped in a space designed to limit your choices, heighten your stress, and make convenience worth more than fairness. In Las Vegas, that convenience fee doesn't just lighten your wallet, it sets the stage for a city built on the art of getting you to spend. If monopoly contracts and the psychology of a captive audience explain part of the price puzzle, the rest comes down to the hidden costs of simply operating inside an airport. Running a business in a place like Harry Reid International isn't like running one on the Strip or downtown, it's far more expensive, and those expenses flow straight into the menu prices you see. First, there's security. Every single product sold inside the terminal has to pass through strict federal checkpoints. That means trucks can't just roll in and drop off food like they would at a regular restaurant. Deliveries are screened delayed and often require specialized staff just to move goods through TSA-controlled areas. The cost of that extra layer of logistics is enormous. A sandwich in the terminal costs more partly because it took longer and cost more to get the bread, meat, and vegetables there in the first place. Then there's labor. Working in an airport isn't like working in a normal mall. Employees must undergo background checks, secure clearances, and in many cases deal with unpredictable schedules tied to flight times. To attract and keep workers in such a demanding environment, wages are often higher than city-side equivalents. A cashier at Hudson News or a barista at Starbucks in the terminal may cost the company more than one working outside, and those costs show up in the price of your purchases. Add to that rent and concession fees. Space inside the airport is some of the most expensive retail real estate in the region. Vendors don't just pay rent, they pay percentage-based revenue shares back to the airport authority. That means every dollar you spend has to be split, which drives vendors to raise prices higher just to maintain margins. It's why a $2 bottle of water outside becomes $5 or $6 inside the price isn't just covering the product, it's covering the system behind it. Utilities and operations also add layers of cost. Electricity, water, and waste removal in an airport come at premium rates due to the scale and restrictions of the environment. Even basic maintenance like keeping refrigerators stocked and trash cleared is more expensive under tight security and operational rules. It's a cost spiral that never ends, and it all lands in the consumer's lap. Another hidden factor is airport design. Vendors often operate in smaller spaces with limited storage, forcing them to order and restock more frequently. That inefficiency means higher costs per unit. For example, a restaurant on the Strip can store days' worth of supplies in a basement freezer, while an airport location might only hold enough for a few hours, requiring constant, costly resupply runs. All of these hidden expenses add up to what looks like price gouging, but is in many ways structural. Airports are some of the most controlled environments in the world, and the price of maintaining that control security logistics labor rent gets baked into everything from a muffin to a magazine. And yet the system works because passengers rarely think about these invisible layers. They see the $6 water bottle and assume greed. The reality is, more complex greed is part of it, but so are the enormous operational costs that come with selling anything behind TSA lines. For Las Vegas, these hidden costs are amplified by scale. With tens of millions of passengers a year, the logistics of feeding and supplying travelers around the clock are massive. That constant demand paired with the constant restrictions means the prices can only go one way up. So when you sit down with your $20 burger and wonder why it costs so much, remember you're not just paying for the food. You're paying for security clearances, delivery delays, higher wages, sky-high rents, and the endless overhead of keeping the airport machine running. And that bill once again lands squarely in your lap. Now that we've seen how monopolies, captive audiences, and hidden costs drive prices sky-high in Las Vegas, the obvious question is this unique to Vegas, or are all airports the same? The truth is that airports everywhere are expensive, but Las Vegas stands out in ways that might surprise you. Take Los Angeles International LAX. Travelers there often complain about $5 bottles of water and $15 sandwiches. It's pricey, but in a city where the cost of living is already high, many people shrug it off. In New York's JFK Airport, you'll find similar numbers, a simple salad running $14 a slice of pizza for $8 a beer for $12. These are big city prices reflected inside their airports. But Las Vegas is different because the city itself markets affordability. On the Strip, casinos lure you in with cheap buffets, discounted drinks, and free perks for gamblers. That contrast makes the airport's pricing feel even more extreme. When you land expecting bargains but see a $20 burger before you even reach your hotel, the shock hits harder. And it's not just about perception. In comparative surveys of US airports, Reid International regularly ranks among the most expensive for food and beverage. A coffee here often costs more than the same cup at LAX or JFK. Even snacks like a basic granola bar or bag of chips can run $1 or $2 higher in Vegas than in airports on the East Coast. What about globally? At Tokyo Narita, you can grab a rice bowl or bento box for around $7 to $8, far less than a comparable meal in Las Vegas. In London, Heathrow, one of the busiest airports in the world, prices are steep $6 for water, $18 for a simple breakfast, but still on par with or even lower than what you'll find in Reid. In some European airports like Amsterdam Schiphol, you'll actually see competitive pricing because local governments regulate concession costs. That's not the case in Vegas. So while airports worldwide rely on captive audiences, Las Vegas stands out as one of the most expensive in America, not just because of costs, but because the entire city's brand sets a false expectation. Visitors come for cheap fun and end up facing expensive basics before they even get to the fun part. It's a contradiction that makes Harry Reid feel harsher than its peers. The irony is clear in a city that built its reputation on offering $2 shrimp cocktails and bargain buffets. The airport has become a place where a shrimp cocktail costs $15 and nobody blinks. Compared to Los Angeles, New York, London, or Tokyo, Vegas doesn't just match the high prices, it often exceeds them, despite being a city that promises the opposite once you leave the terminal. When travelers complain about $6 water or $20 burgers, it's easy to point fingers at the restaurants or shops. But the truth is, the real winners in this system aren't just the vendors, it's the entire network of airport authorities, concession operators, and local governments that thrive on these inflated prices. At Harry Reid International, every food court, retail stall, and slot machine feeds into the same revenue stream. Vendors don't just pay rent, they share a cut of every sale with the airport itself. That means when you hand over $40 for a phone charger or $12 for a cocktail, part of that money is flowing back into the airport's coffers. In fact, for many airports, concessions generate hundreds of millions each year, rivaling airline fees as a core source of income. Then there are the concession management companies. Many airports, including Las Vegas, don't even deal directly with individual restaurants. Instead, they award huge contracts to operators who control clusters of shops and eateries. Companies like Hudson Group or HMS Host act as middlemen, taking their own percentage on top of what the vendors earn. It's a chain of profit-taking that ensures every stakeholder gets paid except the traveler, who only pays more. Local governments also benefit. Airports are often owned by public authorities, and their revenue helps fund expansions, maintenance, and even city budgets. In Las Vegas, where tourism is the economic engine, high concession revenue is celebrated as part of the city's financial success. What looks like gouging to passengers is framed as economic development for Nevada. Even airlines indirectly benefit. By letting airports rely heavily on concession revenue, airlines can sometimes negotiate lower landing fees. That keeps costs down for carriers, but shifts the burden to passengers who pay more for a sandwich or coffee. It's a shell game where the traveler is always the one footing the bill. And finally, don't overlook the vendors themselves. While many complain that high rent eats into profits, the truth is that selling food or essentials in a captive environment is one of the most reliable businesses in the world. Demand is guaranteed. 57 million passengers a year need to eat, drink, and shop. Even with inflated costs, the volume makes it lucrative. So who really wins? The airport gets a steady revenue stream. The concession operators take their cut. The vendors profit from guaranteed demand. The local government gets tax dollars. Airlines get some relief on fees. Everyone along the chain finds a way to cash in, except the traveler, who pays more at every step. In a city famous for the motto, "The house always wins," Las Vegas proves it doesn't take a slot machine to make that true. At the airport, the game is already rigged, and the jackpot is collected long before you ever hit the casino floor. By now, it's clear that the price tags inside Harry Reid International Airport aren't accidents. They're the result of a carefully engineered system. From exclusive contracts that block competition, to the invisible convenience fee of being a captive traveler, to the mountain of hidden operating costs, every factor drives prices higher. Add in the global comparisons, and we see that Las Vegas doesn't just match other airports, it often surpasses them, despite being a city that promises cheap fun just beyond the terminal. And behind every overpriced coffee or sandwich, there's a long list of winners: the airport authority, the concession operators, the vendors, even the local government. The losers are always the same: the millions of passengers who don't have a choice. In a city where casinos are designed to remind you that the house always wins, the airport proves that the game starts the second you land. The next time you buy a $6 bottle of water or a $20 burger in Las Vegas, remember you're not just paying for food, you're paying into an entire ecosystem built to profit from your lack of options. It's not just Sin City's casinos that take your money, the airport does it first. So now we ask you, what's the most outrageous price you've ever paid at an airport? Was it a coffee, a snack, or something even stranger? Drop your answer in the comments, we want to hear your story. And if you want more deep dives into the hidden systems that shape your everyday life in America, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss what's coming next. Because in Las Vegas, the secrets never stop, and neither do we.